We know that many times we get inspired, but that's not sufficient. We need to get into the next stage, and the next stage is that out of our own power, out of our own volition, out of our own efforts, we are continuing and applying this inspiration in avodas Hashem, b'machshava, dibur, u'maaseh, in thought, speech, and action, and bipnimius hasechel ve'alev, and doing it with the utmost intention. We can start. So we are on page, the bottom, we really did it, of Kuf Samech Gimel, which is Kuf Samech Gimel. In the old edition, it's also Kuf Samech Gimel. When the Rebbe is asking a question, we are exploring this Ruach Mimarom, Yareh Aleinu Ruach Mimarom, this awakening from above that we discussed in the last couple of shiurim, how it is only through the awakening from above that a Yid is in any motion, whether it is in a ratzon, the wish to leave that which holds him back to be one with Hashem and to ascend and to be one with Hashem, and the shuv, which is also the willingness to stay here and carry out Torah and mitzvahs. In both cases, without this awakening from above, it wouldn't happen. But now the Rebbe is, as we are exploring this awakening from above, without which a Yid would not be able to be not in a mode of ratzon and not in a mode of shuv, the Rebbe is asking, then if the bottom two lines of Kuf Samech Gimel, Halo avodas ha'adam ina mikoach atzmo. So if this is what you are saying, in this case, you would say that the avoda of our avoda is not mikoach atzmo, is not each one of his own koach, rather, מה שמעורר מוסו מלמעלה, להיות בבחינת רצון ושוב. So the whole behavior of a Jewish soul in this body is just a reflection of what happens from the above. היינו להווה את הוואי וללכת בדרכיו. So from above we are made to love Hashem and to follow His ways. Now in Kuf Samech Daled on top. והלא ידוע דעיקר העבודה היא שתהיה מכוח עצמו דווקא. And we know that the main thing of avoda is to be mikoach atzmo, to invest his own power, his own choice, his own efforts. Bivchiraso rutzono, which means Hashem desires the choice of a person and his own will. אבל מה שעל ידי היסערוס מלמעלה, הלא אין זו עבודה שבבחירתו ואין זו עבודה כלל. If we say that the avoda through this earth milemaila, this is what it is through this earth milemaila, then you cannot call it avoda. It's not avoda at all. Okay, so that's clear what question we are facing. So for that we have a Ara 62, footnote 62, which I posted, and this is the Sefer HaMaamarim of the Alter Rebbe, Tav Kuf Samach Beis. So it's page Shin Samach Aleph in Vayakel. Vayakel Moshe es kol adat bnei Israel. Chulu. Moshe gathered the whole congregation of the Jewish people. K'chu li mi'itchem truma la'avaye, kol nediv libo yevi'eha. And it says about he brings another pasuk that take from you a donation. Anyone that his heart is generous to donate, bring his truma to Havaya, to Hashem. And then there's another pasuk, Ksiva Mimcha Hashem. I am uplifting you, Hashem. I am exalting you, Hashem. The Tzarech Lahav in all these psukim have a meaning of as if we have the power to uplift godliness. Aromimcha Elokai HaMelech. What do you mean, Aromimcha? I'm lifting you up, my God, my King. וצריך להבין איך ייתכן עניין ההגבהה וההתנשאות באלוקים על ידי האדם התחתון. We need to understand how is it possible that there should be any uplifting or exaltedness in godliness that is done through the human being down here. הלא הוא רם ונישא מובדל ומרומם על כל בעלי גבול, ואף מבלי שירומם אותו האדם הבעל גבול חולו. Isn't it that Hashem is exalted and higher and separate and way beyond any finite being without being uplifted through this finite being or finite human being? וכן עניין קחו מאיתכם תרומה להוויה. Take from you a truma, a donation to Havaya. ונקרא בזוהר שהוא עניין עמוסה להוויה. Also regarding to take donation, truma להוויה, the Zohar says that it is an uplifting to Havaya. What does that mean? How can we, בעלי גבול, uplift Havaya, בלי גבול? איך ייתכן זאת? How is that possible? אך הנה כסיב נאום דוד בן ישי, נאום הגבר, הוקם על, אמרו הז"ל, הוקם עולה של תורה. The Tanakh praises David ben Yishai that hukam al, so אמרו הז"ל, the Chachamim explained that through David HaMelech hukam עולה של תורה, the all of Torah. צריך להבין מהו עניין העול ומהי ההקמה שהקים והגביה העול של תורה. We need to understand, we actually mentioned it before in Samech Vov, the עניין of David HaMelech that raised the all of Torah. And what is this all of Torah and what is the hakama, the uplifting that David put it together and uplifted the all of Torah. And now the Rebbe mentions what we have learned. The Alter Rebbe is now teaching us what we have learned by the Rebbe Rashab recently. Ksiv, it says, Ner Elokim Nishmas Adam. There is a pasuk, Ner Elokim Nishmas Adam, that the neshama of man is the candle of Elokim. בנשמות האדם יש בייס מדרגos. As we have learned before, and in a moment maybe we should look it up quickly, go there, but first let's read inside, that in the neshamos of human יש בייס מדרגos. There are two מדרגos, האחת במה שנמשלת לנר אלוקים, one level of this human soul is that she is compared to the candle of Hashem, היינו כמשל השלהבת הנר הגשמי, like it's a metaphor of the physical candle is a metaphor for the neshama, שהיא עולה תמיד למכור חוצבה, that like the flame of a physical candle, that the flame of fire of the physical candle always wants to go up to the source from where it was taken. From where chotzvah, from where it was, she means the flame of fire was carved out. What is it? Ha'esh ha'yesodi, which means the fire wants to go back to its source, the elemental element of fire, which is תחת גלגל הירח. ולא סנוח בפתילה, and the flame of fire of the candle will not rest peacefully on the wick, מפני שנמשכת למקורה, כידוע, because she is constantly drawn to her source, which is not down here, it's up there. כמו כן, מצד טיביס מהוס ניצוץ אלוקים, שנלקחת ממקור חוצבה מאלוקים חיים. So too is the nature of this divine spark in the human soul that was taken from its source and carved out from its source, which is the living God. Al ken, and therefore our soul is always the העולה אליה, naturally, always ascends and wants to go up. להידבק במקורה, automatically. It has a drive to ascend and to cleave to her source, וזהו עניין ההתעוררות פתאום, שימצא באדם שיתעורר לבבו מבלי הכנה מקודם, לילך אחרי השם ולהיזבק בו באהבה וירח לו. And this is, by the way, I'm not, the Rebbe is not saying by the way. The Rebbe says this is the inyan of this sudden awakening that a person can find in himself, that his heart, sometimes we get awakened to serve Hashem without previous preparation. All of a sudden we get inspired to follow Hashem and to cleave to his ways with love and with awe, and we are all, like open, the heart is open. כמשל שלהבת העולה. It's like this flame that goes up. ומה שימצא בו יתעורר זו, and the fact that we find this awakening, even without הכנה, without preparation, היא שפע אלוקים על הניצוץ שיתעורר לכך כולו. This is because of a flow from above, of a divine influence that awakens the spark within ourselves. והיינו כמשל אור שלהבת החוזר בהפסילה, מצד המשחת כוח אש היסודי עליו. And if it's in the manner of shuv, then it's like the or, the light of the flame of the candle that goes back to the wick, even though it wants to detach and to go back to its source. But now, because of the influence of its source, down here, the hamshachas koach ha'esh ha'yesodi, that forces it to remain with the wick. So we see that this whole ratzov vashov of the nefesh is to come close to Hashem or to remain here and to carry Hashem's will. All this is the inyan of dugma zu, hi inyan achayus ratzov vashov b'chol hanivraim. This is the reflection of the altogether of the back and forth, of an up and down energy and divine life force that is running through all living beings, כידוע, is known. וכמו שכסו רשפע רשפי אש, שלהבת כך הולו ודל. As we learned before, that the soul is like a flame of fire, and this is a divine fire, Yud Kei, which means it all comes milamaila, as we have learned. So this is how the neshama is compared to a candle, a divine candle. And I wrote down for myself to look at page Kuf Mem Ches, which we learned before. If you want to go for a moment to page Kuf Mem Ches, Kemach. I'm sorry, I'm not looking in the right sefer. In Samech Vov. I'm looking in the Alter Rebbe and wondering why I don't find Kemach. So there you see in page Kemach that we learned before in Vayigash, in Vayeshev, that the neshama is compared, that is called, it's called neshama, that is also compared to a candle, Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam, and there it also, the neshama is also ruach, vayipach be'apav nishmas chaim, that Hashem blew a spirit of life into the nostrils of Adam. So there are times that we see that the Torah calls our neshama a candle of fire, and there are times that neshama calls our neshama a ruach, and that is also true. And then the Rebbe connected it to Moichin and Midos, and we had a whole discussion about that. So I don't want to go away too much from our material, because we are anyhow dealing with the footnote. So going back to our next paragraph, the bottom of Shin Samach Aleph in the Sefer HaMemarim of the Alter Rebbe. V'hinei madrega hashenis benishmos ha'adam. ומה שאחר ההסערוס ההוא הבא ונמשכת מלמעלה, okay. All right, so we say that, Hashem, the Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe is saying, look, one of the metaphors for the neshama is a candle, and we see that the behavior of the candle is a ratzon b'shov. It wants to go up to its source, and then when its source is misgale, it forces it to be connected to the wick and remain down here. And then that's how it goes, ratzon b'shov. And this is that the whole Chayus Eloki operates in creation. And the neshama is responding to it. So really we see that it is really through divine, the divine awakening that motivates the soul to have any experience of Ratzon or Shuv. That's one thing. But then that's one stage. That's the first stage. That the neshama is awakened milamayla. However, v'hine madrega hashenis benishmos ha'adam. What's the next level? The next level is huma she'achar ha'is'orus hahu haba ונמשכת מלמעלה חולו, יהיה בנשמה כוח וחוזק לחזק מעצמה, להיות הולך בעבודת השם, במחשבה, דיבור ומעשה, ובפנימיוס השכל והלב חולו. הכל מצד עצמיוס, מצד עצמיוסו, או עצמיוסה. What's the next stage? The next stage is that after there is an is'orus from above, now we need the next stage. The next stage is that the neshama needs to have enough strength and enough force from its own, from her own, as an own separate entity, so to speak, to continue and to follow avodas Hashem in machshava, dibur, ma'aseh. We know that many times we get inspired, but that's not sufficient. We need to get into the next stage, and the next stage is that out of our own power, out of our own volition, out of our own efforts, we are continuing and applying this inspiration in avodas Hashem, b'machshava, dibur, ma'aseh, in thought, speech, and action, and bipnimius hasechel ve'alev, and doing it with the utmost intention, with the pnimius of the mind, which means that after we get inspired, we maintain our intentfulness and apply it into the doing of Torah and mitzvahs, b'machshava, dibur, ma'aseh, in the pnimius hasechel and pnimius halev, which means with the inner aspect of, Peggy, please mute yourself. Everybody, mute yourselves, please. And so this is done with pnimius hasechel and pnimius halev, which means with the pnimius of our mind and the pnimius, thank you, of our heart. Which means with our emotions, we're to continue and follow during the day, following that inspiration. Hakol mitzad atzmiusa. This all comes from the soul herself, from the person himself, hain dehainu, Min koach hasagasa v'igiasa ba'avoida. That the person continues to serve Hashem intentfully, with his mind invested, with his heart invested. This comes from the koach of how much your mind grasps and your mind reaches, how much you work with your mind to relate to God with your mind, and your toil in avoida with the heart to awaken the love and to follow the ways of Hashem. You cannot say that this is mitzad velo, mitzad shefa eloki milemayla chulu. This is not coming because of the divine awakening from above. That stage B, does not come from above. וכעניין שנאמר, next page, שין סמך בייס באברהם, על פסוק הלוך ונסוע וכולו, הלוך ונסוע הנגבה. The pasuk said that Abraham was traveling on southward. עובדו הקריבו לי מדרגה לדרגה חולו. He was working on getting closer to Hashem from level to level. פירוש, כוח יגיעסוי בעבודה שבלב, ובמעשה דיבור ומחשבה כל היום, בתורה ובעבודה וגמילוס חסדים חולו. That means that it was the power of his own toil, of Avraham Avinu's toil, in avoida shebalev, and in the maise, in action, and in dibur, and in speech, and in thought, kol hayom, all day, intentfully to direct his actions, and his conversations, and his thoughts, to be engaged in Torah v'avoida and milus chasadim, either in learning Torah, or in davening, or in doing good deeds. Chulu. And that caused him to kribule, to come closer to Hashem. וגרמו כוח שפע אלוקי על נשמתו בגילוי במדרגה אחר מדרגה בקרבת אלוקים חולו. And that effort, all these efforts of Avraham Avinu and his yegia, his toil in this avoida, caused that the divine power of hashpah, of flow, will be revealed as a response from above, level upon level upon level, higher and higher, coming closer to Hashem. There was also a divine response of revelation accordingly. But velo mitzad shefa eloki atzmi chulu. This did not come from above. Veze nikra b'chinas eved. This is called eved. We are the eved. We are banim to Hashem, but we are also avadim to Hashem. וכמו שכתוב, ושבתם וראיתם בין צדיק לרשע, ובין עובד אלוקים לאשר לא עבדו חולו. And this is what the Alter Rebbe brings also in Tanya, that you should return and see the difference between a tzaddik and a rasha, and also between Oved Elokim la'asher lo avado. That the Oved Elokim, as the Alter Rebbe teaches us in Tanya, is the one that goes beyond his nature. Perush, כי כמו מעשה העבד. Why there is an inyan that service of Hashem is called avoidas Hashem? Why we are called an eved, avadim, servants, slaves, but not slaves in an oppressed way. Rather than eved, I don't even know if there is exact English translation to the term eved. There is a servant, there is a slave, but this is an eved to his master. So what is the kemo maaseh ha'eved la'adonav? What is the behavior, what is the action, the doing of the servant to his master? אנו רואים שעיקר עניין העבודה הוא, what's the nature of an avoida of an eved, of a servant? The nature of an avoida of a real servant is כאשר המעשה של העבד הוא מאוד בעל כורחו. That the doing, the action of the eved is very much against his will. which means not that which is comfortable for him to do. V'neged retzono, he doesn't feel like doing it. It's against his will. And yet he forces, compels himself to do it and to serve his master. וכמו שיקיץ משינה ויעבוד עבודה כבדה וכדומה וכו'. Let's say the Eved was tired last night, he worked hard, and now he finally fell asleep, and he sleeps so well, and then early in the morning he has to wake up, and he's still so sleepy, and it was so good in his bed, and now he has to push himself out and do some very heavy work for his master, and he's really still like half asleep. That's the avoida of Eved. אבל כשיסענג בעבודתו לעשות נחס רוח לאדוניו, however, a service when there's tainug in that service, the service we just described has no tainug in it. It just, be'al korcho, it's against his will. He doesn't feel like doing it, yet he does it, because he's an Eved. What about כשיסענג בעבודתו, when he has pleasure in his service? לעשות נחס רוח לאדוניו. He really enjoys causing pleasure to his master. בהושטת כלי ולהשלים רצון באיזה עבודה קלה חולו. What about something light, like, giving the master his cup of tea, handling the cup of tea, or doing something light. And you really enjoy it because you enjoy giving good time to the master. אין זה avoida כלל וכלל. This is not avoida at all. This is not a service of an Eved. כי הרי האוהב יעשה כזויס לאוהבו. Because between lovers you can find the same behavior. That if you're in love with someone, you're happy to do something, for that person. That's not an Eved. ולא נקרא עבד כלל וכלל. In that case, he's not an Eved. He's not called an Eved, defined as an Eved at all. וכמו עניין השונה פרקו 100 פעמים, לא נקרא עדיין עבד. As the Alter Rebbe teaches in Tanya that the custom was to learn something 100 times, and the one who does is not yet called an Eved because that was the norm. That was the custom, that was the norm. Because lios regiluso ken. This was what he was accustomed to. That's not avodas Eved. That's what you are used to already. אמנם בפעם האחס היסרה שאינו לפי רגילוסו הוא עיקר האבוידה. But that extra time, 101, which is not according to what he is used to, this is the main avoida. To do something beyond the comfort zone, מפני שקשה עליו מאוד, because it's very hard to go beyond and break through what we are used to. And that is mentally, that's emotionally, then that's behaviorally as well. והיא מאוד נגד רצונו כולו. And to go beyond somebody's habit is very much against what he wants. וכן על דרך זה, בניצוץ האלוקי, מה שימצא בה יסערוס פסעום מצד שפע האלוקי מלמעלה. And so too, similar to that, regarding the divine spark in our souls, that all of a sudden we find an awakening, we get inspired. Why? Because of the divine flow from above that we learned about. זהו בחינס בן שנמשך אחר אביו, מפני שנשמתו נלקח ממנו כולו. This is why we get inspired from time to time, because we are the children, the banim of Hashem, not the avadim, the banim. And as children, כמו שכתוב בני בכורי ישראל, Hashem views us, each one of us, as the firstborn. This is the first inspiration. That's our relationship with Hashem as children, as a ben, as a son of the Father. That instinctively there is an awakening to come close to Tati, to Avinu Shebashamayim, come close to your parent, of course. But that is not empowering the second stage. אבל מה שילך מעצמו אחר הוויה כל היום, במעשה ודיבור ומחשבה חולו. But that a person of himself follows Hashem the entire day in action and in speech and in thought, היינו רק מצד היגיעה לבד, which is really coming only because of his own toil, שיהיה בעיניו כעבודה שאין בה נחס רוח כלל. And at many times when we serve Hashem, we feel that it's not something that we really enjoy. אדרבה, יעשה בעל כורחו מאוד כנ"ל. Let's say sometimes we don't feel like davening, we feel like tired, I cannot go through this davening again or learning again or any mitzvah. And yet, יעשה בעל כורחו מאוד כנ"ל, then he very much will be investing in effort and go against his will and do it anyhow. זהו הנקרא עובד אלוקים. This is what is called a servant, the one who is serving God, is an Eved. והוא עניין עולה של תורה. This is what David המלך הקים עולה של, this is the all, the yoke of Torah. כמו העול הגשמי על הפרה, like the physical yoke on an ox, שבעל כורחו, ולא ססור מן הדרך חולו, או בעל כורחה. Like they put the yoke on an ox that he doesn't turn away from with that they will be able to manipulate the ox, that it should not turn off its path. כן עניין עול מלכות שמיים. So too is the yoke, the all of מלכות שמיים. When we accept ourselves the yoke of מלכות שמיים, the all, like an Eved, בניצוץ אלוקוס, in the spark of godliness in our soul. בסור מרע ועשה טוב, כל היום, when we are involved in staying away from that which is negative and ungodly, and doing good all day long. And when we are doing it, מבלי שירגיש טעם ונחס רוח במעשה עבודתו כלל או כלל, without feeling any taste and any pleasure in the action of his service at all, רק עושה ביגיעה גדולה. Rather, he does it with a big effort. ועיקר היגיעה והאבוידה הוא בעשות הדבר שנגד רצונו וטבעו. And the main toil, nature of avoida, what we call avoida, and yegia, toil, is when a person does something against his will and against his nature, אפילו יהיה הדבר קל, even if it's a light thing, but if it's not something he wants, or it's not something that he is accustomed to, or it's not his nature to do it, even a small thing will be very hard. עניין מידס הפיזור לצדקה כשהוא קמצן בטבעו. He gives examples, like to be generous in charity when a person by nature is stingy. It's hard. או עניין האיסאפוס בדיבור והוללוס חולו, כשהוא בעל מראה לבנה בטבעו חולו. Or if a person is an extrovert, it's called in Lashon HaKodesh, בעל מראה לבנה. He has a white bladder, a white gallbladder. There's a black gallbladder and a white מרה שחורה and מרה לבנה. It says here Levena. I think it's a mistake. Levena is a brick, but Levana is white. Mara shchora is a black gallbladder, means people who are more introverted and depressed. And Mara Levena, we call it Levena, really it's Levana. A white gallbladder is people who are extrovert and happy and joyful. And for a person who has a white gallbladder, betivo, in his nature, which means in his nature he is a joyful guy, and he's an outgoing guy, and he's an extrovert guy, for him to hold himself and not to say something and not to express something, it's a big avoider. A depressed, shy, introvert person is not his avoider at all, not to say something. But a person who is Mara Levana, for him it's an avoider. Why? It's against his nature. Or kol kayotze baze, or anything like the likes. Similar. וזהו עניין כל דודי דופק, פיסחי לי אך הוסיפו לו. This is what Shlomo HaMelech sings in Shir HaShirim, כל דודי דופק, the voice of the sound of my beloved is knocking, פיסחי לי, open for me, my sister. פירוש, תחילת העניין הוא שכנסת ישראל בגלושה בבחינת שינה. It all begins, the original condition is that the Jewish community, or the Jewish soul, the Jewish collective soul in a state of galus is in a state of sleep. It's in a state of shina. We are sleepy. We are not conscious. We are sleepy. Ani shena. I'm sleeping. I'm not conscious, not awake. My eyes are not open. My mind is not open. My heart is not open. I'm numb. וכמשל הישן ונרדם, like someone who fell asleep, now is completely sleeping. שבהיוסו בשינה לא יוכל לעשות מלאכה כלל, ולא לשמוע ולא להבין כולו. That when he is in sleep, he can't do anything, and he can't hear, and he can't understand anything. אך בהקיצו, but when a person wakes up, מיד יוכלו איבריו לעשות מלאכה בדעתו. Immediately his limbs can do any type of action, with his mind, directed with his mind, with his consciousness. ויוכל להבין ולשמוע כולו. Now when he's awake, he can understand, he can hear and understand. Okay, fine. So a person woke up. Before that, he couldn't do anything. All right. Nevertheless, הנה אף על פי שאותו אדם שהקיצו גרם לו כל זאת, even though that person who woke him up, so person A was deeply sleeping, can't do anything, not hear, not understand, not do anything, he's sleeping. Person B comes and wakes him up. So even though person B caused all this, caused person A to wake up, אף על פי כן, nevertheless, אין עיקר הראייה ושמיעה ועשיית מלאכה אחר הקיצו מצד אותו האדם. Nevertheless, everything that a person, after person A woke up, everything person A will see and hear, and everything he will do after he woke up by person B. So that everything that the person A will do after he woke up, that's not caused by person B. Person B just woke him up. Anything that the person A will do after he woke up, that's person A's business. This is what his initiatives. If he wants to go brush his teeth, he brush his teeth. He wants to go to say moidani, he wants to daven with the daven, wants to eat breakfast. It's not person B causes all this. That's already coming from person A himself. רק מצד עצמו, so it comes from himself. שיוכל לראות בעיניו בעצמו ולשמוע באוזניו ולעשות בידיו. Now it comes from person A himself, after he woke up, that he can see with his eyes on his own, and he can hear on his own with his own ears, and he can do things on his own. And that's what he does. רק שהיה בבחינת הסתלקות החיוס. ומה? Only that when he was asleep, the chayus was in the manner of being removed, ומה שהקיצו האדם, and when he was woken up by person B, גרם לו שפע החייס בכל גופו. He caused that the chayus, that the vitality should flow again and should reveal itself again in the entire body of person A. כמו כן על דרך משל, and that משל, the fact that yes, a person A, in order to function, he needs to be woken up, and for that, we need the Isoerus Milemayla. That's true. But that doesn't mean that after we have this Eirus, the awakening from above, that everything that will happen to us in Marcheshvan, Dibur, or Ma'aseh during the day, that's milamayla. Not at all. That's up to us. And this is the mashal that the Rebbe gave for it. The mashal of person A woken up by person B. Anything that person A will do after he was woken up, that's his own doings already. כמו כן, על דרך משל יובן למעלה באדם העליון. So too, you can understand regarding the divine man, how Hashem relates to us, through the 10 spheros, or Atzilus, שעל הכיסא, which is על הכיסא of the Merkava, שהוא כל דודי דופק. That is what Shlomo HaMelech says, this is the sound of my beloved knocking. That is this Eirus that comes from Atzilus. פירוש, ממשיך שפע is Eirus בכללוס נשמות ישראל כנ"ל. Which means that Hashem is mamshich a shefa, a flow of awakening in the general Jewish neshamas. Eino ela kemashal ha'adam sheyakiz et chavero kanal. But this is only like the metaphor of person B that wakes up his fellow person A. אבל העיקר הוא מה שאחר הדפיקה באים כללוס נשמות ישראל לאור וחיוס בכלי גופם מצד עצמם. But the main thing is what happens after the awakening. That after this knocking, this divine knocking at the door of our minds and our hearts, באים כללוס נשמות ישראל, all the Jewish souls come to light and chayus, to or and chayus, with their body. They are being enlightened and they are being vitalized, and that is reflected in their physical organs, meaning, and that all happens now on their own, from their own. הלב רואה והאוזן שומעת. The heart sees and understands, and the ear is hearing. We are present. We are attentive. We are conscious. We are aware. We are selective. We are choosing. We are selecting our thoughts. We are carefully selecting our conversations, our actions. That's not from the awakening. That's our choice. והוא עניין ההליכה והיגיעה. And that is really the inyan of walking בדרכי Hashem, of following the ways of Hashem, והיגיעה שמצד עצמו, and the toil that comes from our own volition to follow these ways even when we don't feel so. That's the all of Torah. הנקרא עובד אלוקים כנ"ל. And that is called an Eved. Oved Elokim, the one that really serves like a servant, he serves Elokim. Why Elokim? You can probably answer many answers, but one of them is Elokim represents concealment. Havaya represents revelation. Elokim represents concealment. So Oved Elokim is someone who serves Hashem in a condition of concealment. When Hashem is not revealed to him, he is not necessarily inspired, and it's not necessarily what he feels like doing, and it's not necessarily what his nature is like doing. And yet he does it. That is called avoida. This is the footnote that we were sent to Kuf Samach Daled. Avoidas Eved. אך העניין הוא, the main paragraph, דהינה באמס, בחינס ההסערוס הנ"ל הבא מלמעלה. So now it will be easier, hopefully, to understand what the Rashab is saying here, after reading what the Alter Rebbe is saying. That this awakening that comes from above, מה שמתעורר פתאום בלי הכנה, לאהבה הסהבה יכולו, when a person awakens all of a sudden without, like a thorough preparation, to love Hashem חולו, הרי זה רק כמו הקדמה אל העבודה האמיתית שיגע האדם את עצמו בעבודה במוח ולב חולו. This is just a preface, הקדמה, to the true avodah, when a person exerts himself or toils himself in the avodah with his mind and with his heart. כמו שאנו רואים בחוש, ההתעוררות הזאת היא חולפת ועוברת במעט זמן. As we see clearly that such inspirations that come and light up our candles, our flame, they pass and they go away in a short time. דאם היות שלשעתה היא בתוקף גדול, even though such an awakening at the time can be very intense and very inspiring. It's a big flame. הנה במעט זמן היא חולפת ועוברת והיה כלא היה כולו. In a short time, such an awakening passes and dissipates, and it's over, as if it never happened. רק בעת הזויס, שיש לו התעוררות מלמעלה, only that time, when he does get this awakening from above, צריך האדם להגע את עצמו. A person has to invest his efforts לעבור לידי עבודה פנימית בהתבוננות באלוקות ולהוליד אהבה ויראה כולו. A person has to really invest himself and to work a עבודה פנימיות, an inward kind of an inner work. Number one, בהתבוננות באלוקות, to invest his mind and reflective faculties on godliness, and to give birth to feelings, to love and awe. דלהיות שעל ידי ההתעוררות הנ"ל נעשה פסיחת הלב ופסיחת הנפש בכלל. That being that now, through this above awakening, that causes fegi psichas halev, pischili. Now that the awakening from above causes the opening of the heart, psichas halev, and psichas hanefesh bichlal, a general opening of the mind and the heart that the person can start to relate to Hashem altogether. ולכן הוא מסוגל אז להיות בהתבוננות אמיתי. That's why now potentially after this awakening a person is able to be in a true התבוננות and להתבונן באלוקות ולהבין היטב את העניין. Now he is able, if he will, he is able now because of this divine awakening to reflect and to understand this divine matter well. שיוקלט במוחו בהנחה טובה. He is able now. There are times that we are not able to study or to reflect or to absorb anything. We are not up to nothing. There are times we can't. But when there is awakening from above and we can, then yes, it opens our mind to reflect on Hasidus, let's say, on שיוקלט במוחו בהנחה טובה, that he should be absorbed in his mind with a good absorbing, and it should be well integrated into his brain. ומאיר העניין האלוקי בגילוי בנפשו כולו. And that can bring, it's possible now that this divine truth will shine in a revealed way in his soul. אשר לא בכל עת וזמן הוא מוכשר לזה. Not all the time we are ready for it. Yes, we do need a siyata deshmaya. We do need a help from above. We do need an awakening from above to be able to do it all together. ויש עיתים, there are times, שגם אם חפץ להתבונן ולהיות מקורב לאלוקות, that even if he would wish to reflect and to study and to be close to godliness, אבל לא יכול להתבונן. He's not able to reflect. שאין ההשגה כדבעי. He doesn't feel that his brain is working, he can't understand anything, ואין בזה חיוס, and he doesn't feel any interest, any vitality in it, ואין הנקלט במוחו כולו. And he reads it and it doesn't go into his mind, doesn't absorb into, get integrated into his brain. והיינו מצד עניינים המעלים ומסתירים על נפשו. This comes from reasons that are blocking and covering up his own soul from his own self. והם ענייני הגוף ונפש הבהמית וחומריוס המחולו. And there are body matters or, it could be health, could be coarseness of the body, could be nefesh habahamis and their coarseness. אם הם עניינים גלויים המבלבלים את הנפש בעת התפילה, sometimes there are revealed עניינים that are distracting a person, like in the middle of davening, בכמה מחשבות זרות והרהורים רעים, that all kind of foreign thoughts that are not שייך to the davening, and bad thoughts that come up in the middle of davening. וכמה שמתאמץ בהתבוננות לא ינוח אצלו עניין כלל. And as much as he's trying to concentrate and to reflect, he doesn't get in, he doesn't get absorbed, וגם אינו מועיל לגרש את המחשבות סחולו, he doesn't manage to push away these destructive thoughts, והיינו, מפני שנטמעה נפשו בחטאות נעורים וחיי גוונה, because his nefesh was defiled with youth sins and so on. It could be sexual things or losing seed and all kinds of things. Asher ma'alim u'mastir al hanefesh, which covers up and hides over the soul. She'eino me'ir bo ha'or ha'eloki, that the divine light doesn't shine. U'mizeh ba'im lo gam ken ha'machshavot ha'mebalbelot. And from these all kinds of past things that can create thoughts that now are confusing us and distracting us from the light. וגם נפשו מסעבה ומסגשם על ידי זה. And through our deeds that are not appropriate, our nefesh becomes coarse and grob, שאינו כלי לאלוקות, and it's not anymore a sensitive vessel for godliness. This is in a revealed way. A person sees how all kinds of inner obstacles come up, or outer obstacles come up. Or shen behelem. Sometimes he loses his sensitivity and he cannot understand how it's happening. It's just so that there's no excitement at all. There's no vitality at all, no interest. And why? It's behelem, it's hidden. Even though in a revealed way, it doesn't have bad thoughts. מכל מקום יש דבר המונע ומסתיר. Nevertheless, there's something that blocks and covers up and doesn't allow his heart to be open. והיינו, of his mind, היינו גם כן מעניינים הנ"ל. It can also come from all kind of past behaviors that were not appropriate, but they affect the soul in a subconscious way. אלא שהן ממה שהיה מכבר הימים. This is from something left from something that happened many days ago. ועכשיו אינו שייך לעניינים אלו. Now he is not שייך in his mind or behavior to these sins at all, to these inappropriate behaviors at all, אלא שלא תיקן אותם. But he still did not rectify them completely, he didn't elevate them. ולזוז, and therefore, אם כי אינם מבלבלים לו בגלוי, even though such inyanim that we didn't manage to completely rectify do not distract us in a revealed way, mikol makom, nevertheless, לעתים הרי זה מסתיר על הנפש. Sometimes it covers up the soul subconsciously. We don't know why we are numb. שמטמטם המוח והלב. It numbs the mind and the heart. ומשום זה אינו יכול להתבונן. And because of this, let's just get to the bottom of the paragraph. Because of this, he cannot study, cannot reflect, ומכל שכן לבוא לידי אבא וירחו לו. And how much more so that he cannot get to feeling love and awe of Hashem. He's numb. ולכן העצה לזה הוא לעורר רחמים רבים על נפשו. And therefore the advice for this is to awaken great divine mercy upon his soul, שעל ידי זה מעורר וממשיך עליו בחינס רחמים העליונים, that through this he can awaken and bring down upon himself the divine mercy, שעל ידי הארז בחינס רחמים העליונים, that through the person asking for mercy from above, sincerely, he can me'or the divine mercies. And that is, through that, is mitbatlim ha'elemos va'esterim sheme'anefesh habahamis. And then that can annul all the blocks and the concealments from the nefesh habahamis, ve'oseh psichas ha'nefesh, and that creates the opening of the soul, שיהיה ביכולתו להתבונן חולו, that now he is able to reflect on godliness. אמנם, however, כאשר יש התעוררות מלמעלה, when there is an awakening from above, הרי זה מסיר האלמות וההסתרים. So that's what it does. When there is an awakening from above, it removes all the blockages, ונעשה מסוגל ומוכשר להתבוננות. And then the person becomes ready and able to study and to reflect and to work with his mind and to connect with God with his mind and his heart. וצריך להגע את עצמו. However, now he has to seize this opportunity and to toil himself. להשיג את העניין האלוקי בטוב ובעמק הדעת. He has to now invest in mind. Yes, his mind is able to do it, but he has to invest his mind to understand this divine matter well and with a deep concentration and a deep attention, שיורגש בנפשו היטב, so it will be sensed in his nefesh very well. ושיתעורר בלבבו בבחינת אהבה וקירוב לאלוקוס לדבקה בו. It's his effort, it's every one of our efforts to awaken, to be awakened in our heart with the love and closeness to Hashem, to cleave to him. That is not done through this general awakening. That is done through our own יגיע. שיהיה כל חפצו רצונו, so to bring ourselves that our only desire and our only will be only to desire רק בהאור והחיוס האלוקי, to be aligned with and to experience this divine light and divine vital chayos, divine life force. וזוהי העבודה האמיתית שהיא בבחינת קיום בנפשו. This is the true avoida that can be lasting in his nefesh. Unlike this oirus that is not lasting. דאם היות שאי אפשר שתהיה ההסבוננות והאהבה בתמידות, even though we have our ups and downs, and it's not possible for regular people that this deep reflection and deep love will be revealed constantly all the time. Omnam, however, the impact of it is revealed after we study and after we daven. So when we study, our mind is filled with the divine light. And when we daven, our heart is filled with the divine emotional response as well. So we can't keep the same level all the time. However, נשאר מזה על כל היום. An impact of it, an impression of this remains the entire day. להיות סור מרע ועשה טוב בפועל ממש. To do סור מרע ועשה טוב, to stay away, that's our own work. To stay away and to do good, to stay away from evil and to do good בפועל ממש, all day. להיזהר מאוד מכל דבר שהוא הפך אלוקות, to be very cautious and careful from anything which is the opposite of godly, ושמעלים ומסתיר על אלוקות, and to stay away from anything that conceals and hides over godliness, ולהיות לו חיוס בקיום המצוות ויחפוץ בהם, and to maintain his interest and his energy in the fulfillment of mitzvahs and to want to do them. That's our avoida. That's not just an automatic result of the awakening that actually makes it all possible, but it's not responsible for the results. So the Rebbe is in the middle still of the discussion between about the dynamic between the Oerus and the Avoida that follows. We didn't finish. Next page as well. And until page Kuf Samech Vov. And we'll go back to the Adlakas Haneros of Aaron HaKohen. So we are still learning to understand the relationship between the Neshama as a candle of Hashem and the Neshama, the way it's also Ruach, which we learn that ruach means ratzon, that the ratzon is to carry the ratzon, our ratzon, that you should reflect the divine ratzon. That is something which is only coming about through our avodah and our own toil and our own effort, and that is up to us.